The hangar buzzes with life long before sunrise. Fluorescent lights flicker overhead, pooling on the oil-stained concrete. The air vibrates with the metallic clatter of tools, the clipped boots of mechanics, and the distant, rhythmic whine of turbines being tested for the day's flights. This is the heart of the base, a place where glory is forged from speed, steel, and precision. But for some, it's just another place to be invisible. Maya moves along the edge of the hangar floor, the battered push broom in her gloved hands scraping a soft rhythm against the concrete. Her orange jumpsuit marks her as maintenance, a silent figure weaving between gleaming jets and the swaggering pilots who barely register her presence. "Heads up, janitor." A voice cracks across the space, cutting through the morning haze. Laughter follows, quick and sharp. Maya glances up, but only for a moment. She knows better than to hold anyone's gaze. Lieutenant Jake Collins, the squadron's golden boy, strides into the hangar flanked by his crew. His flight suit is pristine, a name patch glinting in the harsh light. He carries himself with an arrogance that's earned, or so everyone thinks. Pilots snap salutes as he passes. He soaks it in, smiling like he owns the sky. As Maya's broom crosses a painted yellow line, Collins' boots land right in front of her, halting her in her tracks. For a moment, it's as if the entire hangar goes silent. Collins stares down at her, eyes bright with a challenge meant for his audience more than for her. "Careful there, Cinderella. That's $1 million jet you're sweeping next to," he says, pointing to the fighter's wing. His crew snickers behind him. "You break it, you buy it." The joke lands, harder than it should. Maya's hand tightens on the broom. She forces a polite smile, but it's brittle at the edges. "Just doing my job, sir." Her voice is barely above a whisper. The words float up, get lost in the laughter. Collins isn't done. He leans closer, lowering his voice, but making sure everyone within earshot can hear. "Yeah? Well, maybe you should do it somewhere else. This is where the real work happens." He glances around for approval, and his friends eat it up. One of the other pilots, smirking, pipes up, "Don't worry, boss, she probably thinks the joystick is just a fancy mop handle." Another round of laughter, louder this time. The words burn, but Maya holds her ground, sweeping up stray bolts and oil rags, her cheeks flushed. She keeps her head down. But Collins isn't satisfied. He steps around her, suddenly yanking the broom from her hands. It clatters to the ground. The suddenness makes her flinch, so do a few of the younger crew, startled by the aggression. Collins twirls the broom in the air like a trophy. "Look, fellas. Maybe we should put her in the simulator, see if she can clean up the scoreboard as well as she cleans up this floor." The laughter crescendos. Maya reaches for the broom quietly, but Collins holds it just out of reach, his eyes daring her to snatch it back. There's a moment, a heartbeat, where Maya's eyes flicker up, just briefly. In them is a flash of something ancient and defiant, something that doesn't match the meekness everyone expects. Collins sees it, but he misreads it as fear. He tosses the broom back at her, barely missing her hands. "Careful. Wouldn't want you to hurt yourself." "Leave the heavy lifting to the pilots." "Yeah." Someone in the back, one of the ground crew, a mechanic with grease under his nails, calls out, "Come on, Jake, give her a break. She's just doing her job." Collins shoots the mechanic a withering glare. "She's doing a job, all right. Keeping out of the way so the rest of us can actually fly." The crowd gets the message. The mechanic turns away, embarrassed. Maya kneels, quietly gathering up the broom, the soft bristles splaying out against the floor. The chatter swells again, louder and meaner now that the moment has passed, like a storm that's only grown stronger for being ignored. As Collins and his entourage move away, one of the junior pilots mutters under his breath, just loud enough for Maya to hear, "Bet she's never even sat in a cockpit." The words stick to her skin like sweat. She stands, broom in hand, eyes lowered. For a long moment, she just stares at the gleaming jet before her, a machine built for those with call signs, medals, and swagger. Maya starts sweeping again, her motions steady, deliberate, even as her heart pounds. She feels every eye that lingers on her, every whispered joke, every glance that slides over her like she's part of the machinery, necessary, but never noticed. The camera lingers on her face, the tightly set jaw, the slight tremor in her hands, the careful, dignified way she moves. Outside, a jet engine screams to life, ready to tear through the sky. Inside the hangar, Maya quietly reclaims her broom, standing a little straighter, refusing to give them what they want, her shame. You see it, don't you? The way some people decide who gets respect and who fades into the background. The way power plays out, not in punches, but in 1,000 tiny moments, in words sharp enough to cut. Maybe you've been there too. Maybe you know what it's like to be invisible, until someone decides you're worth noticing, just to remind you that you're not. The hangar door rolls open, flooding the space with light. Collins and his crew walk toward their jet, laughing, oblivious. Maya keeps sweeping, eyes fixed on the floor, as if the weight of the world is pressing down on her shoulders. But if you look closer, you'll see it, a glint of steel behind her quiet. And somewhere inside, a promise taking shape. They will remember her one day. But not like this. The hangar quiets as the morning rush gives way to routine. The aftershock of Colin's mockery still lingers in the air, soft, like dust caught in a sunbeam. Most eyes slide past Maya now, content to forget the scene ever happened. But not everyone moves on so easily. Maya resumes her rounds, working with quiet precision. She sweeps beneath the shadow of a fighter jet, careful not to disturb the checklists taped to the landing gear or the oxygen tanks propped nearby. Her motions are smooth, almost rehearsed, each flick of the broom measured, each pause purposeful. She hums, low and tuneless, barely audible over the distant roar of jet engines. A mechanic, one of the few who ever meets her eyes, offers her a nod as she collects a scattered spill of washers near his toolbox. Thanks, Maya. She gives him a shy, grateful smile. No words needed. There's a familiarity to their exchange, born of shared early mornings and late shifts, of two people who know what it means to work hard and say little. As the hangar clears, Maya lets her attention drift. She walks the flight line, straightening the orange safety cones, her gaze brushing the line of jets as if counting each one. At the far end, she pauses before an older fighter, a relic from a different era, long since retired, its paint faded and its cockpit clouded by dust. She glances around. The space is empty, the pilot's gone for their morning briefing. Quietly, Maya sets down her broom. She climbs the small maintenance ladder, fingertips lingering on the metal like it's an old friend. Her hand glides across the cold frame of the cockpit canopy, tracing the outline of the controls beneath the glass. Switches, dials, throttles. She closes her eyes for a moment, breathing in the faint scent of oil, leather, and something bittersweet. Some people leave pieces of themselves in the places they love. You'd never notice it, not unless you were looking. The way their hands fit a shape, the way their eyes linger just a little too long, like remembering a song they used to know by heart. Maya pulls back, collecting herself as footsteps echo in the distance. She retrieves her broom, shoulders hunched, mask of invisibility slipping back into place. She moves on, her steps purposeful but her mind elsewhere. Later, Maya enters the base's break room. The space is empty but for a flickering TV and rows of vending machines. She pours herself a cup of weak coffee, fingers trembling only slightly as she stirs in powdered creamer. On the bulletin board, a poster hangs, Base Talent Show, all personnel invited. The names listed are familiar. Pilots, mechanics, officers. No one like her. She sits alone by the window, watching a training jet taxi across the tarmac. From her pocket, she pulls a creased photo. A young woman in a flight suit, Maya years younger, beaming beside an older man with kind eyes. Both are wearing pilot's wings. The photo is worn at the edges, as if held too often, treasured and hidden away. She runs her thumb along the edge, lost in memory. Sometimes, life reroutes us, sometimes by choice, sometimes not. What we lose, we carry. What we love, we never forget. She tucks the photo away as footsteps approach. Two junior officers walk in laughing. Their conversation drops as they spot her. One lowers his voice, but not enough. Why is she always here? It's like she's haunting the place. The other shrugs. She'll be here when we're gone. Just like the furniture. They laugh. The door closes behind them, leaving Maya alone in the silence. She closes her eyes, drawing a slow, steadying breath. The camera lingers on her face, the strain around her eyes, the resolve in her posture. Night falls. Most of the base is dark, but lights burn in the gym. Maya is there, alone. Her orange jumpsuit is shed for sweatpants and an old t-shirt. She moves through a circuit of exercises, push-ups, sit-ups, burpees, then shadowboxing in front of a dusty mirror. Her movements are fluid, practiced. There's a quiet rage in every punch, every extension, every breath. In the corner, a weathered flight manual sits beside her duffel. She flips it open between sets, her finger tracing diagrams, emergency procedures, flight patterns, radio protocols. She memorizes every word, lips moving silently. You think she's just passing the time. But this is a kind of preparation. Every day, she's building herself, stronger, sharper, even as the world tells her she's invisible. Even as the world tells her she doesn't belong. Back on duty before dawn, Maya finds a scratch on the retired fighter she loves. She cleans it carefully, polishing the metal until it gleams, lost in her work. No one sees her do it. No one thanks her. But she does it anyway, out of respect, for the machine and maybe for the part of herself she still keeps hidden. A supervisor walks by, clipboard in hand. He barely glances at Maya. Don't forget to mop the briefing room after you're done. The pilot's left a mess. She nods, and he moves on without waiting for a reply. As she wipes her brow, a jet streaks overhead, roaring into the sunrise. Maya looks up, eyes following the contrail, longing flickering across her face. For a moment, she is utterly still, lost in the beauty of flight. You never really know who's sweeping the floor beside you. What they've done. What they've given up. What they're still capable of. The world sees a janitor, a nobody. But beneath the surface, underneath the silence, the patience, the humility, something extraordinary stirs. And fate, already, is turning her way. Thunder trembles on the horizon as noon gives way to gray. Inside the hangar, the lull between flights hangs heavy. The distant crackle of radio chatter and the clatter of wrenches against metal fill the air. Maya kneels beside the retired jet, lost in the quiet work of polishing a patch of dull steel, every stroke calm and steady. A shrill alarm splits the silence, sharp, unnatural, echoing across the base like a warning bell from another world. Heads snap up. Mechanics freeze, rags in midair. Pilots spill from the briefing room, the swagger stripped from their faces. The siren's red light spins above the entrance, painting the hangar in pulses of blood. The announcement blares. Attention, unidentified aircraft inbound. All personnel, initiate emergency protocol. This is not a drill. Chaos erupts. The ground crew scrambles, scattering to assigned stations. Pilots sprint toward the jets lined up along the tarmac. Collins is first through the side door, barking orders, his eyes wide and voice hard with the edge of real fear. Maya stands alone in the shadow of the old fighter. She presses herself against the cool metal, breath caught in her throat. Through the open hangar doors, she sees jets already taxiing, roaring out to meet whatever danger is coming. A heavy shudder tears through the air, an explosion somewhere out of sight, close enough to shake dust from the rafters. Shouts echo. Smoke curls past the windows at the far end of the hangar. Maya's heart hammers against her ribs, but she doesn't move. A mechanic, running past, grabs her arm, yelling for her to head for the shelter. She pulls free, eyes fixed on the chaos unraveling just beyond the hangar doors. Fire alarms screech. The base loudspeaker stutters. All available pilots to active duty. Repeat, all available pilots. Outside, debris blocks the path between the hangar and the flight line. Collins and two others are trapped behind a wall of wreckage, pounding on the twisted metal, coughing as smoke pours around them. He shouts for help, his voice barely audible over the shriek of engines and alarms. Maya steps forward, the echo of orders and panic crashing over her. She glances at the cockpit of the old fighter, hands trembling. The manual she studied for months, The movements she rehearsed in secret flicker through her mind. Her legs move before her mind catches up. She slips through the chaos, ducking under a loose wing, weaving through clouds of dust and the shouts of retreating mechanics. Her orange jumpsuit is a beacon, but no one stops her, everyone too busy running, hiding, or searching for cover. She reaches the fighter. The ladder is still in place. Hands slick with sweat, she climbs. The cockpit canopy groans open. Maya lowers herself into the seat, fitting into the confined space as if she's never left it. Her breath comes fast and shallow. She flicks a series of switches, hands working from memory, heart pounding. The engine coughs, then roars to life. Lights flicker on the console. The jet comes alive around her, responding to her touch as if waking from a long sleep. Static buzzes over the radio. Who's in that cockpit? Base, this is Eagle 2. Does anyone copy? Maya doesn't answer. She clamps her hands on the controls, feeling the familiar resistance, the power thrumming in her palms. Through the cracked glass, she sees the runway blocked, the main doors jammed with debris. Another explosion rips across the airfield. A fireball rises above the far hangar. Screams and sirens merge into a single, rising note of terror. Collins, still pinned outside, sees the old fighter moving, canopy sliding shut. For a moment, his face is all disbelief, then fury. He pounds the wreckage, shouting, "Get out of there! That jet's not cleared! Get out!" But Maya is already rolling forward. She coaxes the battered machine onto the narrow service strip beside the hangar. The nose of the jet points toward a makeshift gap between burning vehicles and shattered concrete. Her hands steady. Her mind sharpens. The sounds of chaos fade. For a single, suspended moment, there is only her heartbeat and the hum of the engine beneath her. She pushes the throttle. The fighter lurches forward, picking up speed. Sparks leap from the undercarriage as she veers through the debris, dodging flames and tumbling crates. The control tower shouts frantic commands, unknown, unheeded. The jet gains the runway, wheels rattling. Maya pulls back on the stick, feeling the world drop away as the machine lifts into open sky. Below, the base erupts with movement, figures spilling from shelters, faces tilted upward in disbelief. The ground shrinks, the chaos a distant blur. Ahead, black dots speckle the horizon, unidentified aircraft closing in, shapes sharp and predatory against the clouds. Maya breathes out, slow and controlled. The memory of every quiet night spent studying manuals, every lonely hour in the gym, every insult endured, crystallizes into focus. The unfamiliar weight of the situation settles on her shoulders, but she does not hesitate. She sets her course, fingers dancing over the controls. Below, the world burns and trembles. Above, she soars, silent and alone, the fate of the base now resting in her hands. The sky rushes around her, raw and electric, streaked with smoke and the faint trails of enemy aircraft slicing through the clouds. Alarms flash on the console, a warning siren blares somewhere deep within the battered jet. Maya's grip is steady on the controls, her knuckles white, her eyes locked on the threat ahead. Enemy fighters sweep low over the base, dropping flares that burst into searing daylight. Anti-aircraft guns from the ground spit desperate tracers into the sky, but the attackers move with purpose, tight and coordinated. Through the haze, the largest jet angles directly toward the main fuel depot, its intent unmistakable. Maya rolls hard to the right, feeling the old airframe groan beneath her. G-force slams her into the seat, pain shoots down her side. She pushes through it, eyes never leaving her target. A missile streaks past, trailing smoke, too close. She banks again, diving low over the burning hangar, engines screaming. Below, the base stares upward. Soldiers stand frozen on rooftops, mechanics crouch behind smoldering vehicles. For a moment, everything else stops. No one speaks, no one moves. All eyes are on the battered jet, the one nobody thought would ever fly again, carving impossible lines through the sky. The enemy fighter locks on, siren wailing in Maya's headset. She flips a switch, voice steady and low as she arms the countermeasures. Flares burst from her tail, painting the air with sparks. The missile swerves, explodes harmlessly behind her, shockwaves rocking the jet. She levels out, scanning the battlefield. Smoke and chaos everywhere. A second enemy fighter swings behind her, guns lighting up the sky with a spray of tracer fire. Bullets hammer the canopy, spiderwebbing the glass. Maya ducks instinctively, jaw clenched. She twists the jet into a corkscrew dive, instruments shrieking warnings, then pulls up so hard her vision narrows and blurs. Through the blackness at the edges of her sight, she finds clarity, memories of endless drills, the calloused ache in her hands, the forgotten feeling of belonging in the air. She exhales, long and even, and time slows. She doubles back, wings slicing through smoke, and finds herself behind the lead attacker. A calm settles over her. Every switch, every movement, flows with practiced certainty. Her thumb finds the trigger. One shot, a single, precise burst, and the enemy jet spirals away, trailing fire, crashing behind the supply depot. In the control tower, someone shouts, disbelief, then wild hope. Collins stares, mouth open, trapped behind the barricade. The other pilots, held back by debris and flames, can only watch as the underdog in the orange jumpsuit turns the tide. Maya turns her attention to the second enemy jet. She draws it away from the base, higher, out toward the open sky. The two aircraft circle, feint and dodge, a deadly dance above the clouds. The enemy's shots graze her wing, tearing metal, but she never flinches. She lets instinct take over, each maneuver executed with flawless, unshowy precision. No wasted motion. No hesitation. She waits for her moment. The enemy lines up for a kill shot, just as she banks hard, kicking in the afterburners. She loops behind, breath held, vision tunneled. Her heart pounds, matching the engine's rhythm. Another squeeze of the trigger. The flash. The second jet explodes in a bloom of smoke and flame, raining down across the empty fields. Alarms echo. The sky is suddenly empty except for the battered fighter limping back toward the runway. Maya steadies the trembling controls, guiding the old machine home on nothing but muscle memory and raw will. Below, the base is transformed. What began in chaos now settles into stunned silence, then erupts into wild cheers. Medics and mechanics race onto the tarmac, waving arms, shouting, pulling at each other and pointing upward as the crippled jet lines up for a landing. The wheels hit hard, sparks flying. Maya rides the brakes, fighting every instinct to keep the machine on the ground. The jet screeches to a stop, trailing smoke, battered but intact. As the canopy pops open, heat and noise rush in. Maya's hands tremble as she pulls off her helmet, sweat streaking her face, lungs burning from the effort. She climbs down the ladder, legs nearly giving way. Across the tarmac, the crowd rushes to meet her. Soldiers, mechanics, even officers surge forward, faces split by awe and relief. For a moment, no one says a word. Then, slowly, the cheers rise, echoing off the hangars, washing over her in waves. Collins, pale and shaken, stands rooted at the edge of the crowd, eyes locked on Maya. His pride, his certainty shattered. He sees her for the first time, not as a janitor, not as the butt of a joke, but as the one who saved them all. Maya stands beneath the roar of their gratitude, the battered jet cooling behind her, her place in the world remade by fire and flight. Smoke still hangs in the air, carried on the wind across the tarmac. The smell of burnt fuel and scorched metal mingles with the sweetness of fresh-cut grass and rain. The ground crew moves in quick bursts, dousing small fires, checking for wounded, restoring a battered order to the chaos. The base feels changed, shaken, and somehow more awake. Maya stands alone beside the old jet, sweat and soot streaking her face. Her uniform is torn at the sleeve, a smear of engine grease on her cheek, but her eyes are bright and steady. Around her, the crowd pulses and murmurs, unsure at first, then certain, drawn to her with a new and unfamiliar gravity. A hush falls as a senior officer emerges from the throng. He pauses, straightens his cap, and crosses the distance. The gathered pilots and crew part for him, but no one looks away. He stops before Maya, his eyes searching her face for something he can't quite name. He salutes, crisp and deliberate. For a heartbeat, nothing moves. Then, one by one, the crowd follows, hands rising in respect, eyes wide, mouths set in wonder and gratitude. Even Collins, shaken and silent, lifts a trembling hand to his brow, gaze lowered. Maya stands straighter, returning the salute with quiet dignity. There is no smile, no tears. Just a deep and steady calm, a release of something that's been locked away for years. She breathes, slow and even, as the weight of the moment settles around her. Someone starts to clap, tentative at first, then louder, swelling as the others join in. The hangar echoes with applause. Mechanics thump each other's backs, medics raise their fists, even the youngest recruits grin through smudges of grease and fear. Maya's heart stirs with a warmth that rises like sunlight after a storm. She steps forward, her hands trembling just slightly, and the officer places something cool and heavy into her palm, a set of pilot's wings, old but polished, shining in the pale daylight. The metal glints between them, and for a moment Maya's breath catches. She closes her fingers around it, holding it to her heart, a simple gesture heavy with memory. Collins steps forward, hat in his hand, his bravado gone. He looks at her, really looks, and nods once, slow and respectful. The others follow suit, closing the old distance, their earlier words and laughter falling away like dust. In the faces around her, Maya sees a reflection of herself, tired, hopeful, wounded, alive. A low rumble in the distance signals the all-clear. Sirens fade, the last smoke rises and vanishes into the blue. The base is safe. The day, somehow, has begun again. Maya turns away from the crowd, feeling the press of gratitude and awe without needing to hear another word. She finds her old broom propped by the hangar door. For a moment she regards it, then sets it gently aside. The wind shifts, catching her hair as she walks toward the open runway. She lifts her eyes to the sky, now streaked with sunlight and the white scars of battle. In her hand, the pilot's wings gleam. She stands for a moment, alone but never lonely, framed by the silent witness of the planes and the distant echo of applause. A new sound rises, the hopeful noise of engines, tools, and voices returning to work. The world begins again, but nothing is quite as it was. At the edge of the runway, Maya closes her eyes, letting the wind cool her face. She feels the ache in her muscles, the heaviness of exhaustion, but beneath it all, a quiet strength, old and unbreakable, finally seen. She breathes in full and deep, and opens her eyes. The sky is waiting. And somewhere, in the hearts of everyone who saw her rise, a question lingers. Who else among us, quiet and unseen, might carry such courage? Who else might be extraordinary, waiting only for their moment to soar?